facade is the eye, disguise is the physical, grind is the lie, blind to the visible, status mission critical, indifference is difficult, world gon' glow, glow so spiritual, world gon' know about the infinite invisible, my crew high, 5 times millennial, words on the scroll with the 13 principles.
Shalom to Yitz, Jordan, Wilo.
Glad to be here. Baruch Hanimon Nimsaim. It was wonderful being here in Israel. Oh, I try to get back as much as I can, so it's always good to be here.
So first of all, for those who aren't familiar with you, who is Wilo?
Well, for those of you who haven't checked me out on Wikipedia, Wilo is the premier hip-hop entity in Jewish music right now, or the premier Jewish, Orthodox Jewish entity in hip-hop world, however you want to put it. Been on Shem Speed Records since 2005. Started rhyming in 2000. Yeah, this is what I do.
And you weren't born Jewish. Tell us about really your connection to Judaism.
Well, I converted to Judaism in 2000. I started rhyming in yeshiva. Hip-hop was the way that me and my chavruta used to learn back and forth. We used to freestyle the Gemara little bits back and forth. I'd be Rashi, you be Tosfot, I'll be Rava, you be Abaye, and we would just rhyme about what was going on. It came about because me and my chavruta, when I first started at Yeshiva Or Sameach, I wasn't really connecting to Gemara. I even took a native for a little bit to not learn Gemara. I couldn't stand it. I didn't understand why I'm learning about some ox that walked through a marketplace in Iraq 1600 years ago. I didn't understand how it connected to today, and I was just looking at Gemara learning like it was a college class, take notes, review the notes, for test at the end of the week, forget everything the following week. And my chavrusa wasn't really connecting to it. We were reviewing what we were learning one day, and we were just randomly quoting things back and forth. He stops and says, all right, and just puts down a little beat, and that was how we started doing the review that day, and from then on, that's how we used to learn, and it worked for us. We went up from the intermediate program into the Beit Midrash program within one's mind.
Some would say that you were making fun of the Talmud.
That's what people used to say in yeshiva, in the Beit Midrash, like, oh, this is a goyish style of music, this is shatnez, how could you bring such a low street style of music, to such a holy place. But like I said, we went up from the intermediate program to Beit Midrash program in half the time that most other people did. And B, like for instance, once we were learning a sugya called Chardal in the second chapter of Baba Basra about 2 homeowners who live on opposite sides of the fence. Mutual damage was the idea of the sugya. One guy's raising bees, the other guy's raising mustard seeds. If the bees eat the mustard, the honey is ruined. So I damage you, but damage myself in the process is the idea. And who's chayav? So everyone else, when the Rav brings it up like 6 months after we had learned it, like the Fallowman's man, and everybody else in the yeshiva, in the shir was like looking around through their notes and going back and forth, flipping their gemaras. And me and my chavrusa, we look at each other and we go, Iba Vinsa, Hechi Mishkachasle, Iba Ta for what? Hadar Pere. And we just start flowing about it, and everybody was like, wow, how did you memorize that? I was like, because we learned it to a beat. What did you use to learn? And that was like pretty much like, the proof is in the pudding. This is 10 years later, and I'm still remembering the sugya. How many of the other kids in the shir who were going like this can remember what they learned 10 years ago?
The ground is gonna shine, the water gonna flow, check the fire in the sky, then the horn gon' blow, then we all gon' fly.
Now regarding the conversion itself, the goal is not that all non-Jews become Jewish. How does one decide that it's not enough to do the role that a non-Jew must do in the world? One decides that he must be Jewish.
I have a personal hypothesis that no goy has ever become Jewish. There's no goy that has ever transformed themselves into a Jew. All that there is, all that conversion is the revelation of an innate Jewish soul bringing itself from the potential to the kinetic, and to the actual. That's all it is. I started getting into, I started wearing a yarmulke when I was 14. I started putting on tzitzit and going to shul after school when I was 14. I first drew my first Magen David when I was 7 years old, when I saw a commercial that said Happy Passover from your friends at Channel 2 on TV, and I went drawing 6-pointed stars on everything. There's no Like I consider myself like FFB and a ger at the same time. Like, you know, because there's never been a time in my life that I wasn't actively interested in Judaism, and yeah. So all the conversion did for me, when I started the conversion process in Brooklyn, in Flatbush, the Rav asked me, is there anything that I can tell you that's going to turn you away? I was like, not really, because I know where the Sfarim store is now. So either you convert me or not. Either way, I'm going to keep doing these mitzvot. So conversion for me is just a formality at this point. That's what I told the Rav.
What can you tell us about the reactions back at home to this change?
Like I said, this was not a new thing for anybody. My mother, I mean, like I have very few living relatives. Both my parents, all four of my grandparents biologically, and I'm my only child, all passed away. So my mother never really got into it. She was never really for it. My father, who was Ethiopian, had issues with, I mean, he always was surrounded his whole life around Jews, but it was more like, my parents were more like against the idea, like they said, you'll never be able to integrate socially, you'll never be accepted, they will never accept you, they will never consider you as being one of them, was the idea that I kept getting. My grandmother, on the other hand, wanted to be Jewish her whole life. So she, as I was growing up, when I said that I didn't want to do Christmas no more when I was like 9, she built me my first menorah. When I said I was done with the New Testament, she built me my first chumash. So she acted kind of like my translator for the rest of the family. But yeah. And my friends who I grew up with are still my friends now. Like, I still go back to Baltimore and hang out with them. I'm the same person as I always was, just in different guidelines now.
When we on the iTunes, your whole crew gon' cop it. The Hebrew child spit the future like a prophet. The people don't hop out of five is blinded. Repeat the history just like they need to be reminded.
Now you obviously represent the idea of l'kadesh et hachol, sanctifying the mundane. But some may say that this is like too much. Rap, you can't sanctify that.
Yeah, but what? Wagner can, Beethoven can, Hitler's favorite composer. Like, you know, people talk about styles of music as if a style of music is inherently kosher or treif. There's nothing about any style of music that can be inherently kosher or treif. You can make classical music, you can make an orchestra play music about killing Jews, you can make an orchestra play beautiful music about, like, Hashem. You can make a rapper sing about killing people in the street, and you can make a rap up about, you know, about the Torah. There's nothing that's inherently kosher or treif about a style of music. It's all about what you put into it. Like I said, for me, since I started rhyming in yeshiva, I grew up listening to like hard rock and punk rock and metal and stuff like that. So for me, hip hop started in a holy place. It's always been a holy thing. It started off as a way of Torah learning, and now I'm making money off of it. I was never out on the street corner somewhere. I've never, like, you know, I've never been, you know, a gangster or something. So to say for me that why would you take a you know, mundane type of music and bring it into a holy place? Well, for me, it started in a holy place. So now what are you going to say? Like, I say in one of my videos, when it comes to this idea of Jewish music, that which is Hamish and that which is Kadosh, a lot of people need to be realistic, because a lot of the, when you're listening to the holy Hamish and Nagunim from the old country, a lot of times you're just listening to the top 10 pop hits of 1804. That's, you know, like, let's be realistic. 200 years ago, if Napoleon's March can make it into Chabad, can make it into Chabad, if La Marseillaise can make it into Le Chabad, then I would hope that there's room for a hip-hop beat somewhere in there too.
So tell us about the most surprising, interesting reactions throughout the years.
So there's one time when I was doing my, I have my a cappella CD counted. So when I was performing some of that live with Yuri Lane, the beatboxer, we on stage, and this group of like thugged out, like completely gangster looking guys walks into the spot, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is all right. They're gonna start hating me. They're gonna start making fun of me. I know what's gonna start happening. I'm just grabbing the microphone, like, just let it go. We're gonna get through this set, fine. As soon as I started rhyming my song Mahadran rhyming, where the second and third verses are in Aramaic, as soon as I switched to Aramaic, they get up and start going, woo! And I was like, you came here to hear Aramaic? Whatever. I was like, I could have never expected that. Or once I was rhyming. I did a show at a bat mitzvah, and the bat mitzvah girl, one of her friends, comes over and says, "I make music too," and I was like, "Oh, that's sweet. What do you do?" And she's like, "Well, I make poems that go over beats." I was like, "You rhyme?" I was like, "Please let me hear something you wrote." She's like, "Well, no," because she was too tznuah. She wasn't going to do it in front of anybody. So I was like, "Okay, let's come over here. Now just whisper into my ear, like, what the rhyme that you have." She's like, "Okay, I wrote this one in school. I got so much pain in my brain, I can't maintain the same frame." And I was like, it was like Rod Digger or like any other, like, like a 40-year-old black woman just jumped out of her throat, and I was like, "Woo, you really have talent." I never know where it's going to hit. I never know who my target market is. Every time I think I know who my target market is, something like that happens and just throws it all on its head.
And now you're here in Israel. How's it going here?
Nothing compares to Jerusalem. Here, I'm way bigger than I am in New York. Like, way bigger with all the yeshiva kids and stuff like that. A lot of them, I'm the only hip-hop. They want to listen to hip-hop in general, but I'm the only hip-hop that their rabbis will let them listen to. So they're all into Shem speed. I met one guy here who told me that it was me and a couple other artists, like, basically listened to a mixtape that he had made himself. A playlist. What year is this? A playlist he made himself. Convinced him to make Aliyah. Like, if I had a hand in that, I met one girl who said that she was about to drop out of seminary and then heard one of my tracks and started reconsidering how connected she was to Torah. Things like that. When I hear stories like that, it reminds me why I'm actually doing it. Because why I'm actually doing the music.
Aliyah?
Should I make Aliyah? I should make Aliyah, shouldn't I? Yeah, I should make Aliyah, shouldn't I? Actually, I heard over Sukkot that there's like there's programs through the Aliyah agency or Jewish agency or whatever for performing artists. So I'd like to look into that. But yeah.
Slowly.
Every time I come here, I'm just like, and why am I going to go back to Brooklyn again? Right.
So tell us please about your new album.
So my new album, well, I have one album, This Is Babylon, which came out in 2008. Now my new album, This Is Unity, it comes out in January. Features D-Scribe on a couple songs. We got a dance hall artist on a couple songs. Yeah, it's more, we're trying to cross over more into mainstream and more into, pop music, because honestly, if you want to talk about places that you need to have Jewish values, it doesn't necessarily, everything on the shelf at Galpaz is Jewish. That's cool. I'm trying to get my stuff on the shelf at, Virgin and places like that. So we're trying to, put more Jewish stuff into the mainstream. So that's what this album is.
Now you mentioned your a cappella album. This is especially for the days of Sfirat Omer, when it is forbidden to listen to instrumental music.
Yeah, when we came up with this idea, like, a lot of Jews, basically, if they're into music, they just don't keep Sfira. Like, if they're really into music, they'll try to come up with a whole bunch of heterim and ways that they can listen to music. We were saying give the people something that's hot to listen to, that actually puts forth a message. My Sfira CD, we do one song for each Yom Tov. A song about the Yom Tov, one for, we have a Sukkot song, Shavuot song, Simchat Torah song, Pesach song, Purim song, and we just go through and go around the calendar. I think that in general, because it's so lyrically based, hip-hop is a good way to transmit a lot of information in 3.5 minutes. So, like for our Sukkot song, I go through the halachot in the first verse, like, no more than 20 amas from the floor to the top, no more than 4 tefachim from the roof to the side, got to leave your house for 8 days to reside underneath the shade of faith in the Dirat Arai. Like, that's right there, like, that's 3 different, lines from the Shulchan Aruch, just put into a little 4-bar first part of the verse. If a kid memorizes that, he'll know, like, more about Sukkot than he did before the album, and that's, that's why I do it. How
about a mix, like a combination between Hasidic music and suddenly you come in with your hip-hop? Is that something you worked on? We have a, it never got released because of technical difficulties, literally, dude's hard drive melted. But I have a song, we did a remix of Tzamalacha Nafshi, the Chabad Nagun. In general,
Chabad Nigunim are kind of hot right now with getting remixed. You have, oh, and there's also a Lipa Schmelzer remix that just came out with D-Scribe. So yeah, Hasidic music, it does lend itself to being remixed.
Why Love Yitz, Jordan, thank you very much.
Thank you. Peace.
Okay, so we'll end with some music. What you got for us?
So this track that I'm about to do off of the Sphera album, so every Jewish musician has to have a mandatory Mashiach Now track. So this is my Mashiach Now track called Why Ain't We There? It's going to be the first verse. Can peep it on the Sphera album.
I'll try to help out.
All right. This is why I love Jewish hip-hop. We live with Arut Sheva. What? Repping the Hasidic mental, it's essential. Understand the reason he sent you. This is a vessel. This is all introspective, surprising. Rise on a positive vector. Why your sector? Mahadran inventor. If you sound moronic, it's a sign of defective. The kettle gas on your style like I was Hannibal Lecter. Got him bouncing like Kedusha, making your neck hurt. What? Run up like a worm in your network, stuck up in your memory. Think you can flex words? I admire fire. Let me give you a test first. I give you the parrot, give me the 10th verse. Don't ask Kosher, go to base and just learn. Stick a blank disc in your face and press burn. Take the Kedusha, bring it westward. Less than a sixth of this, so make your head turn. Check the sound on the vital. The style, yo, it's out of the Bible. Nichtav b'tzad on the side of my bio. Leaving MCs comatose like Shivo. What? On your lashon like pasta. Clinging to the eight Chaim just like Rastas. Kitty shots to the ox with a chashka nachasa. Keep it a Kosher, baby. Chadedish style. Taking the tradition, making it now. Changing my position, breaking it down. Exchanging television for a saintlier ground. My people want salvation now.
Yeah.
Nah, why I love peace.